I decided early on that whenever we went through some kind of challenge, when somebody kicked us off YouTube or Facebook or suspended us from Twitter or anything like that, there's been other things like that, I really didn't want to make a big deal about it. I didn't want to put myself in there at the center of attention, really for two reasons. The primary reason was, one, we are not the fight YouTube, fight Patreon, fight Twitter, fight Facebook channel. No, we are the fight the denial, deceit, delusion surrounding this epidemic of black criminality and black violence all over the country. That's what our primary thing is here. So I didn't really want to draw the attention away from that. But also, I didn't want to give anybody a roadmap, because the more we talk about what happened to get us kicked off here, there, everywhere, that's kind of like a set. You can just very easy to kind of reverse engineer that stuff and do what it takes to target people. And I do know we've been targeted. Because I do know, I remember we used to spend a lot of time, the subject of stuff in that Con Web report guy. That was funded by George Soros. There's a lot of people that show up on the web. They're always, when I got kicked off of YouTube all 5 times, I mean, really, you get kicked off 5 times permanently, but you get, there's always stages along the way. You're suspended. It's really probably been closer to like 20 times I've been kicked off or suspended from YouTube. There's always some fella, actually some white guys too. They're always stepping forward. They're bragging. They're putting their hands in the air. They're doing the victory dance. Yay, we brought down the big bad Colin. He's down. Well, they turn around and we're like the Terminator. We just get back up. Yeah, so we got burned a little bit. That's okay. We keep going. And it's not just me, right? I think everybody here knows that when they attack me, when they kick me off a spot, it's really an attack on you. And I really look at us like the community from Fahrenheit 451. If I remember my 8th and 9th grade reading correctly, I mean, at some point, it was a society where they burnt books. And the only way to save a book was for somebody to actually read the book and memorize it. And I think they had their own community after a while where they just walked around and talked the books to each other. So I kind of look at us like that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they kicked us off of YouTube. That hurt. I didn't want, I don't like admitting it hurt. Of course it hurt. We were doing 12 million views a month and it was going way up. They kicked us off there, and just a week ago, they kicked us off of iTunes. iTunes is not as dominant as YouTube is in the podcast, market as YouTube is in the video market, but they're pretty big. I looked at my views. I could see they were going down. But the interesting thing about that is a lot of you guys are on my email list. And if you're not, get on my email list. Go to colinflaherty.com. You'll see something. You put your first name and email. Get in there so we can follow each other around whenever I get kicked off a place. Anyway, so but as soon as we got kicked off of iTunes, and there's a lot of places to listen to iTunes to podcasts. I just sent an email out saying, hey, we're not there anymore. We're here. We're not there anymore. We're there. And that's always shifting. But you guys shift with me. And you guys are the ones encouraging me to keep going, because we are not going to let these clowns beat us. God, isn't it weird? I mean, every time I hear myself saying this, it's hard to even believe that there are people they kind of devote their lives to shutting down free speech. And if you're a legal type, which probably kind of like I probably used to consider myself, if you're a legal type going, Colin, that's not free speech. The Constitution doesn't guarantee this, or that only guarantees this and that, not that and that. I get that. I don't look at the world through the lens of legalisms. It doesn't matter to me if the government's banning free speech or if Twitter and iTunes is banning free speech. It's the same thing. It's all Fahrenheit 451 melded together. I don't care who's banning it. But it's weird when you think about it. I mean, you think about all the people from Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, Google, YouTube. They hire tens of that. I know, I think Facebook I forget which company did this. I think it was Facebook. They hired 7,500 people around the world to kind of like keep an eye on Facebook postings. Ditto for YouTube. Thousands of people around the world. I think most of the people who do monitor and who do respond to these, quote, complaints of, quote, community standards, I don't even think they live here. I think they live like in Ireland. I think they live in a village in India. And isn't it weird? Like somebody gets up, they're living in a village in India, they get up out of bed, they've got their satellite dish up there, they turned it on, they slip their sandals on, they're drinking chai tea. Maybe their hut has a floor on it, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they're walking around like, one of those saris, whatever they call them. Turns it on. He opens his email and he says, "Hey man, that Colin Flaherty's a bad dude. He goes around saying bad things. So don't go actually look at it. Don't evaluate it. Just take my word for it. And you're going to get 9 other emails like this in the next 1 minute. And that'll, by definition, that'll prove to you that he is violating community standards." I mean, the guy in India, the guy in Ireland, the guy in the Philippines, what are they going to do? They're going to go, well, I got 10 of them. Must be something to this bad person. Let's kick him off. Bing, bam, boom. Bam. Out. It's weird, so a lot of the monitors here are these college kids with purple hair that just graduated. They always wondered what they were going to do with a degree in English. Now they know. Their first job with an English degree is to go to work for YouTube, where you shut down you shut down the speech of people who actually know how to use speech. And that's the world we're living in. It's just growing, isn't it? It's just growing and growing. Growing, constantly constricting what we could say and do, who we can associate with, what we can think. God, this is really like a battle for the ages right here. And so all of us have to decide whether we're up for it. All of us have to decide whether, we are going to be in this battle for the immediate reward. So if we win, we'll get hoisted up on the shoulders of 8 million people, and we get this big parade, and we get to hang around with Matt Drudge and Ann Coulter. Or are we in it just because it's a right and it's an important thing to do? If so, that's the only thing that's going to sustain us. That's the thing that's going to keep you listening to these podcasts, watching my videos, reading my books, giving my books to people, sharing the podcasts. That's where we are right now. I know there's a lot of people just come in and out of these, and they watch them for a while and they go on, but there's a lot of other people that really stick with these because they think we're on the tip of the spear of a couple of the most important battles of our age. One, this whole community, this whole free speech thing, but this whole black violence wildly out of proportion, that's kind of the tip of the spear of identity politics, isn't it? Because the only reason to have identity politics is because of white racism that's keeping all these different groups down. And if I'm keeping you down because you're a black person, well, you have to organize as a black person to fight back. But what if the whole premise of all the identity politics is just one big fat lie? What if black people are not oppressed? What if they are the oppressors? That's what we are asked to believe every day. Jussie Smollett. We've talked about him a lot. So not only was he a victim, air quotes, he wanted everybody to believe that black people all over the country are victims of white violence, especially people who like Trump. Everybody was so eager to believe that because they're so eager to believe in the evil of white racism. Listen, there's so many people on Talking Heads right now. They're giving us the big picture of what this was all about. How many people are explicitly saying this was a direct racial play, a direct play of racial hostility, the kind we see every damn day? Is anybody drawing a link to that? If so, I haven't seen it or heard it. Because everybody is still just scared to death to get anywhere near this, because as soon as you mention race, everybody knows their career, their livelihood, their family, everything is on the line. They might just get run out of the public square permanently. And so we have a lot of people pretending to be indignant. We have a lot of people pretending to be really like on top of this, but they won't explicitly say what it's about. Oh, that was a hoax, Colin. That was a hoax. Yeah, that was a hoax. Those reporters got to do their job. What kind of hoax was it? It was a hoaxy hoax. Do these hoaxes have any precedent, anything in common? Yeah, they're real hoaxy. So once again, we see all these people that we kind of count on for our information just kind of going up to the edge and not going over there where they need to go. That's why these podcasts are important. That's why my videos are important. Books, we go there. And we go there to expose the cowardice and the incompetence of most people in the media, but we also go there to talk to people about how they can stay safe. I'll let them know there's something really strange out there where lots of black people are targeting young people, old people, gay people, straight people, white people, Asian people, Indians, Eskimos, Amish, kitties, puppies, turtles, goldfish. Do you see the commonality there? Colin, you forgot black on black crime. I didn't forget black on black crime. Black on black crime fits into every other pattern of black on whatever crime. Fill in the blank. Yet during Black History Month, we turn on the TV and we recognize that black people are just relentless victims of relentless hostility, 4 million years. And that explains everything. I mean, yesterday, Obama and Steph Curry, they were doing some kind of seminar. What was that? My Brother's Keeper? I forget what it's called. Obama started some program. Now his foundation is helping it along. So he and Steph Curry had 100 children, boys of color, in a room, and they were basically Obama. The thing is the same. Basically, it's like, yeah, be like me, be like Obama. Yeah, be like Stephen Curry. Okay. I don't know. Do those things work? Maybe they do. Hope they do. Or maybe there's something else going on. So anyway, anyway, I just wanted to kind of I wanted to reset the table here, just to kind of remind you what I'm going through here. Just because you don't hear about it doesn't mean we're not going through a lot. Doesn't mean we're not overcoming a lot of challenges to people to shut us down. But as long as you are there on the other side, as long as you're there to do what it takes to keep us connected, then they can't stop us. They can slow us down a little, but they can't stop us. If I have your email address, if I get kicked off iTunes and you just pick up my Twitter and you follow me over to where we replace iTunes, it's a wash. So that's where we are now. You know what? I might as well do my little commercial pitch while I'm in here talking about the inside business of the channel, the podcast. And so when we talk about this stuff, we know that no matter how big and bad and brave some of these I'm not even talking about the mainstream press. I'm talking about the conservative press. How big and bad and brave and good some of these guys are. They just don't want to touch this whole black violence, wildly out of proportion, black people hostile to white people thing. They don't want any part of it. So that leaves us here. That leaves us, you and me. And so I thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing, commenting. We still need to do that for the benefit of all the algorithms. Yeah, those algorithms are still running our lives. That means for Twitter, for Facebook, for Minds, for all those places on YouTube where people post my videos. That's fantastic stuff. We've got cups and T-shirts, really cool cups and T-shirts that I think if you go ahead and check them out at colinflaherty.com, look for a little tab that says merch, take you right to them. Those are cool. And while you're over there, if the spirit moves you, if you think that what we're doing here is important and worthwhile and is under relentless attack from people that want to shut me down and shut you down, then drop a few coins in the cup to help me fight what they are doing to us. Think of yourself as kind of like a mini conservative George Soros. All right, let's get back to I hope we're not wearing this theme out that we're about to get on, but it's kind of important because this is kind of, I'm using this term again, this is kind of tip of the spear of the whole idea that white people do it too. And so, so in Aurora, Illinois, a couple days ago, I'm not even going to do a clip on this. I think pretty much most everybody knows that 5 people were shot. I think 6 more were wounded, including a cop. 5 people were killed, 6 more wounded, including a cop. One of the fellas went into his workplace, bing, bam, boom. A lot of bodies afterwards. And not just on my platforms, but all over the country. Then this unleashed a torrent of people who are sure of one thing only, no matter what else there is on this planet. They're absolutely sure that most mass shooters are white. Colin, you can always tell what's going to happen when I'm on my Twitter or somebody goes, "Hey, Colin, get a load of this," and it's usually some young social justice warrior chickie, complete with purple hair, screaming at the top of her lungs on Twitter or Facebook or on Salon or somewhere that white people do it too. Most mass shooters are white. And then when you break the bad news to them, and most 3/4 of mass shooters are black, well, that's a mind blower. Mind blown. And so the only way we can fight, I actually got kicked off Twitter once for saying this. I got kicked off for 12 hours. They said I was targeting somebody hostile. I assume black people. I said, listen, okay, you think most mass shooters are white. Here's what we'll do. You grab, just go grab the last 10 mass white shooters, or last 5. We'll do a match, 1-on-1. You do one, I'll do one. You do white, I'll do black. You do white, I'll do black. We'll see who runs out of material first. I mean, if I say 3/4 of mass shooters are black, I shouldn't have any trouble doing that, correct? Well, correct. Especially at the time, we had just done a video where we documented 22 of these things. This was like in the middle of January. 22 mass shootings just in the last month before that. All the fellas. We're going to play a few clips here, some recent ones, but even so, the headlines still get passed around. Newsweek, Salon, lots of other places where they insist on insisting that most mass shooters are white. Those are headlines of Newsweek and Salon. And we're going to see some examples in here of why that is, because I would say probably half the things you're about to see where a black person shoots a bunch of people, white and black, they would say, no, that's not a mass shooting, Colin. That doesn't count. And so the only way to get to their number of Salon and Newsweek and Daily Beast and other people who say most mass shooters are white, the only way to get to that number is to ignore most mass shootings. Then if you do that, you can figure out a way to say, yeah, most mass shooters are white. But if you count mass shootings 3 and above, it is what it is. The people pulling the trigger 3 out of 4 times are black. God, I saw Kristen Powers on CNN. I think she used to be on Fox. She said, I actually feel, no, somebody else. Who was it? It was Melissa Francis. She goes, I actually feel sorry for Jussie Smollett. Oh, man. So I'm actually feeling sorry for the trolls now because about the load of information we're about ready to drop on them right now. So let's do some examples of some recent mass shootings, most in the last couple of days. I think I've got one in there from a couple of weeks ago. And let's see what we see.
But when I think about it, what would I be without my guns? How could I get away from the po-po?
This is 25-year-old Willie Addison's music video. His sister tells News4Jax he was a rapper, not a gang member. Friends say Addison, his father, and brother were among 6 shot early yesterday morning, leaving the Paradise Gentlemen's Club on Bay Meadows Road. Sources tell News4Jax there was a birthday party held there, and Addison was performing. News4Jax reporter Destiny McKeever is live from Memorial Hospital, where victims of the shooting are still recovering there. Destiny.
Many of those victims just getting out of surgery this morning. The family members telling me they are expected to make a full recovery. Unfortunately, Willie Addison did not. He died of his injuries, and his family and friends tell me he did not deserve to be shot.
I've been posted on the fire with Dan and we get money.
In this music video, you can see Willie Addison, an aspiring 25-year-old rapper, in the moments leading to his death. Addison was performing at the Paradise Gentlemen's Club Wednesday morning just after 2 a.m. when this video was taken. Soon after, he was shot inside of a silver Chevy Tahoe, carrying 5 other people. Those 5 including Addison's father, brother, and friends, according to a family friend. They're all expected to survive.
The first thing that went through my head was, why would anybody want to hurt Willie? Like, everyone loved him. He was a people person.
We spoke with a friend of Addison's who didn't want to reveal her identity for safety reasons. She says Addison was just getting out of prison. He served a 6-year sentence for burglary and perjury. She says he was turning his life around and focused on his music.
He was an up-and-coming artist. He was always rapping and making songs. What he loved to do was he loved to freestyle. That's what he did.
In a statement, Addison's sister tells News 4 Jax Willie was not and is not a gang member. Willie was a rapper who spoke to people, so don't get confused with him being a statistic or a product of his environment. Police have said they believe the victims were targeted. They range in age from 20s to 40s. No names aside from Addison's have been released.
A surveillance camera from Wacko's Gentleman Club captured the moments right before the shooting. Watch as an SUV drives past on Emerson, followed by 2 more vehicles. Then all of a sudden, some of the people standing in the parking lot start walking towards Emerson. This is when witnesses who were outside say they heard the gunfire. An employee here at Wacko's Gentleman Club who didn't want to go on camera says he was outside when the shooting happened. He says he didn't see the incident, but he says he heard what sounded like 2 minutes of continuous gunfire. What he heard was an SUV full of people being shot. 25-year-old Willie Addison is the only victim in Wednesday morning's shooting who died from his injuries. Police say the other 5 people he was with suffered gunshot injuries with varying severities. Those other victims range in age from 20 to 40 years old. Court records show that Addison is a convicted felon who was just released from prison this past June after being locked up since 2011. He wound up in prison after being convicted for burglary and perjury. News4Jax has also learned that Addison was a JSO certified member of the Flat Street Gang. Although it's unclear if Wednesday morning's shooting was gang-related, Mayor Lenny Curry didn't hold back after learning the lone person who died in the shooting was a gang member.
I'm sick and tired of these gangs and drug business folks making people in our city feel unsafe.
Oh, Lord. Save me from the elected officials coming to the scene of these mass shootings, pointing their finger at the camera and saying, "Not on my watch, I'm sick and tired of this crap." But the next time he sees a camera, chances are he's going to look into that camera and say, "Criminal justice reform, there's too many black people in jail for no reason whatsoever, so let's let them all out." Hard to square that circle. Let's head over to New Orleans.
Innocent bystanders were wounded in New Orleans Central Business District during a gun battle between police and an armed robbery suspect. It all started around 6:43 Sunday night as NOPD officers confronted a person of interest in an armed robbery investigation near Canal Street and Elk Place. According to the NOPD, the suspect pulled out a gun and started shooting at the officers, and 2 officers returned fire. 5 people waiting at a nearby bus stop were struck and wounded by bullets. The exchange of gunfire spilled over 2 blocks to the intersection of Elk Place and Tulane Avenue. That's where a Louisiana State Police trooper exchanged gunfire with the suspect and wounded him. The man was taken to University Medical Center where he later died. The suspect was wanted in 2 recent violent crimes in the Central City neighborhood. 29-year-old Reginald Bursey was accused of carjacking a woman on Saturday near the corner of Carondelet and Josephine Streets. He is also suspected in a February 8th armed robbery in the 1700 block of Clio Street. Sales associate Scott Hawthorne saw Bursey running from the scene.
I first made eye contact with him. He just kind of gave me this stare, and then that's when I realized I needed to just kind of step back.
Hawthorne said after hearing the man open fire on police, he's glad he didn't approach the suspect.
Because I kind of felt like he may or may not have a gun.
Here's one from Evansville, Illinois. This is a weird one. I mean, Check this. So Evansville, I don't know. Have you ever been to Evansville? Did you even know Evansville existed? Are you that worldly that you know where Evansville is? I didn't. So there was a shooting the other night in Evansville. How many people got shot? 5, 6, 5. 5 people were shot Sunday morning in front of the Sidetrack, a bar for the fellas. And then the headline goes, Sidetrack evidence is the 3rd recent mass shooting near an Evansville bar. God, good Lord. The Evansville Courier and Press comes through calling it what it is, identified all the shooters. So this was Evansville just a couple nights ago. Then we run down and we go on October 26th, 2015. 5 people were shot near the 7-Eleven Tavern on Virginia Street. And then we go to, let me see. 1 dead, 3, this is 2017. 1 dead, 3 injured after an American Legion shooting. And so the one that was the other night was a bar shooting. A guy just, argy-bargy in a bar. Guy pulls out a gun, boom, 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 boom. 5, 6 people shot. I don't think anybody died. I remember the first time I saw one of these American Legion halls in the headlines. I mean, I went into full, wow, I guess white people do it too. I can't imagine I didn't realize that all these old white dudes sitting around in a dimly lit hall drinking 25-cent beer. I didn't realize they were, into the argy-bargy business. That's what I thought for like a week. Then I saw another one and another one. I said, wait a minute. This isn't the America. What the hell's going on here? Okay, everybody already knows this. Apparently, I was the last person in America to realize that the American Legion halls are frequently rented out. And the fellas often show up and they go, hey, man, this is what they did near me, near good old Colin. They said, hey, man, we're going to have a back-to-school night. Can we rent your place for the night? Yeah, we're going to have a disc jockey. It's going to be real nice and clean. We're going to have lots of chaperones. We're going to give away book bags and pens and pencils, maybe some jackets or something. People go, yeah, this was not American Legion. This was the JCs, the Junior Chamber of Commerce. They have a clubhouse. But it could have been anybody. It could have been American Legion, VFW, anybody. They all go, because they all say the same thing, and everybody goes, oh, that sounds so good. Of course you can rent our hall. So the people show up, and it's not anything like what they described. It's basically some version of what my buddy in the South used to call 5 kegs in a band. Put up the flyers, show up. Everybody shows up. Next thing you know, there's a large amount of argy-bargy, fighting, shooting, like this story in Evansville, Illinois, a place no one's ever heard of before. And now we've got 3 mass shootings in Evansville. Wow, do you think Evansville is the only place where they're having mass shootings? I think I see one of these just about every day. Just about every damn day. I'm not even looking that hard for him either. Why don't we blow through a few more news clips here from all over the damn place.
Breaking news now out of Indianapolis. 5 people have been shot at a bar. Police say the shooting happened about 1 a.m. Houston time. It was pandemonium when officers arrived and found those folks shot. Other people made tourniquets to try and stop the bleeding.
This afternoon, the brother of one of the 4 people killed in a shooting told us the shooter was his own cousin. Police say this man shot 2 people in 2 separate homes.
2 men are dead and another is wounded after a shooting along Highway 19 near 18th Avenue South.
3 people shot in University Park. Chopper 2 over the scene this afternoon. A home in the 700 block of Union Drive. All 3 victims were taken to the hospital. No word yet on their conditions.
Down in Jacksonville, a fella killed 3 people, wounded 2, then he killed himself. Some complicated love triangle thing where he was on the down low and didn't want anybody to know it. Let's move on over to Philly. 3 are hospitalized after a triple shooting in Philly. This is such a common thing. They didn't even put the video on this story. Nobody noticed. And ditto down in Washington, D.C., 2 arrested in triple shooting that left a man dead in Northeast D.C. How many of these do you want? That's how many there are.
Family members of one of the 4 victims killed in 2 separate shootings came to the scene overnight, and the mother broke down with emotion.
It's gonna be hard.
Kendra Watley says one of the victims is a friend killed at her cousin's house.
He was a cool kid. He didn't bother nobody, so this don't make no sense that somebody would shoot him.
I think they were targeted, but I don't know why.
Rockmarch Chief of Police says 2 are dead inside a home, 2 more killed inside this apartment nearby. They are 2 men and 2 women. A 5th victim was shot in the face and flown to a hospital in Atlanta. The report of the shooting at the apartment came first. Officers responded around 8 Thursday night.
Just as they got to the first shooting, we got a call they were dispatched to the second shooting.
But police have not found the shooter, with the suspect or suspects still on the run and still many questions. The community is just starting to feel the shock and the loss.
It seems unreal because, Rockmart is a small town.
It's just unheard of in a small community like this.
Nobody would ever expected this.
Probably being remiss in my duties, that very first story featured a sister going, "Hey, Mom, my boy wasn't a rapper. My brother wasn't a rapper. He was a good person." Well, I looked at one of his raps. I'm sorry, I can't do more than one, okay? And I called him Baby Goon, I think, in another place, but I think he goes by Boss Goon. Anyway, you want to hear 10 seconds of Boss Goon? We probably should have gotten his favorite rap, which is, "I don't know what I'd do without my gun," but what you're going to hear is 10 seconds of Boss Goon in the middle of a rap about guns, drugs, money, bitches, and killing people.
That hood is on Glocks. Niggas is crazy. Niggas killing motherfuckers. Everyday shit. Niggas ain't no suckers. That I run with. Put a heat on your head. So shit split quicker than you can blink your motherfucking eye. Nigga, you a dime. Try one time, nigga. That's all it take. Nigga, I'll bake a cake quick, nigga.
Also breaking, a 3rd teen became the victim of gun violence since Friday in Southwest Philadelphia. A gunman shot a 16-year-old girl on the 5600 block of Whitby Avenue early this morning. Bullets hit the girl in the neck and hand. She is in serious condition. Police say it happened inside of a home with several children inside, including one as young as 6 years old. No adults were there. That shooting happened half a block from where people were gathering last night to remember the life of a murdered 17-year-old. Tahid Collins was shot and killed on the 5800 block of Agora Terrace on Friday. The large crowd lit candles to remember the young life cut short. Collins' mother says her son was an aspiring rapper with many friends.
It was an absolute honor to be his mother. It was an absolute honor to meet half of you through Tahid, because again I say, Tahid was a special kind.
Less than an hour after the vigil, a shooting on the 6000 block of Angora Terrace claimed the life of an 18-year-old boy.
And if the people who tabulate this for Salon and Newsweek, if they saw it was a rapper with a lot of friends whom they arbitrarily may call a gang, then they don't get included on the mass shooting numbers. Let's finish this podcast up with a story out of Jackson, Mississippi. Normally I wouldn't have put it on this podcast, but it was a story of a 79-year-old woman. I think she's a black woman. She had a gun. One of the fellas was breaking into her house. 20-year-old fella was breaking into her house. She's on you're going to hear her on 911. And she takes a shot at him. I don't think she hit him. But let's listen to that part and cheer for that woman for protecting herself. But then let's hear the daughter come in at the end, and let's hear the daughter and the reporter, and let's see if we can see a really clear example of pathological altruism that I've seen for a while.
A 79-year-old with a gun defends her home when a burglar breaks in. She shot him at least twice, and she did it while she was on the phone with 911. She held him off for nearly 10 minutes until deputies got there and arrested the man. John Sherrick has the 911 call from a brave woman protecting her home and herself in Jackson County.
Jackson County 911.
The family farmhouse in Jackson County, more than 100 years old.
They're trying to get in the back door. Hurry, please.
The family's matriarch inside and on the phone with 911 is 79.
I'm in the kitchen.
The man accused of breaking into the house is 20.
Oh, they breaking glass.
And the rounds inside the woman's pistol, at least 2.
Okay, come on up in here. I got something for you.
Ma'am, listen to me.
For nearly 10 minutes, around noon, February 12th, the 79-year-old woman and her pistol took control of a home invasion while she gave the 911 dispatcher a play-by-play of the 20-year-old man who she said was ransacking another part of the house, later arrested and charged, Hans Rogers of Dallas, Georgia. The woman whispering to the 911 dispatcher how frightened she was and praying,
"Please hurry. Please hurry. Please. Lord have mercy. Please.
The woman shouting to the burglar who had gone up the back outside stairs and broken through the door and was ransacking the upstairs rooms.
I'm waiting on you. Come on. Come on. Come on down here, you scared.
Ma'am, are you shooting at him again?
Yes, ma'am.
Shooting toward him, she told her daughter later to keep him away from her. He finally hid in a closet, frightened of the woman, until deputies arrived to arrest him.
He's 20.
Right.
She's 79.
Right.
What was the difference here?
She didn't allow herself to become a victim. My mother is a very strong woman. I know where I get my strength from now. As a matter of fact, I think she's a little stronger. I don't know if I could have handled that situation as well as she did. My mother's a very spiritual person, and God knows she was not trying. Because if she wanted to hit him, she could have hit him. She just wanted to keep him off of her.
They said the sheriff told them later the suspect has a history of medical issues, needing prescription medication, which he did not have that day, a possible factor in this case.
Looking back on it, I thank God that he found my mother and not someone else, because he could have been dead now, you know what I'm saying?
What do you and your mother want for him now?
Help, the help that he needs.
A 79-year-old woman in a century-old home praying now for a second chance for a 20-year-old burglar.
That is some kind of courage and compassion.
Amazing. Okay, call me a bad person. Maybe I'm not the forgiving enough. But what is it with this rush to forgive somebody who's doing you harm? And if you forgive him enough, and if you are feeling kindly towards him, your forgiveness results in him going back on the streets. They're going to put somebody else in danger, and now that's on you. So the reporter's already made a psychiatric evaluation of the guy, right? It's like, oh, there's some information that he forgot his medicine today, and that's why he was breaking into people's homes. Is that the way it works now? You go to your hospital, your doctor, your sociologist, your psychologist, your psychiatrist, and you go, "Hey, doc." The doctor goes, "Hey, Colin, how you doing?" "Oh, doing okay, doc. I kind of feel like I'm going to do a little bit of burglary today. Can you give me something for that?" "Yeah, here, Colin, here's some anti-burglary drugs." "Thanks, doc." "Oh, yeah, last night I got mad at one of my neighbors, so I'm feeling a little bit homicidal. Got anything for that?" "Oh, yeah, I got some special anti-homicidal drugs here, too." So that's the way it works now. You just say you feel like a criminal, and they'll just drug you up. All the while just allowing you to evade responsibility for when you go clunking people over the head or hitting people or destroying property, burglarizing. What an invasion a burglary is. And we're so eager to explain it, so eager to forgive them. That's mental illness. That's a mental illness. The sickest person in that video we just saw is not the guy hiding in the closet. No, that's probably the most rational person in that video. The sickest person was the daughter standing out there explaining how they're going to get that kid the help he needs. Well, in his mind, the only help that kid needs is he needs a gun to fire back, and he needs to get some better burglary skills, and he needs to get some better bird dogging skills so he can figure out when a house is empty and when it's not. That's the only thing wrong with him in his mind right now. So what if they fix him up? What's that going to look like? He's 20 years old. What's it going to look like? Are they going to give him a skill? Are they going to give him something? Isn't it amazing how whenever we talk about the fellas, it always involves giving something. It never involves them receiving it, them being worthy to receive it, them working to receive it. So we're going to put them in a place where we can give them something, because people like that, we've never given them anything. We've never given them a chance to get some training in high school. We've never given them a chance to get free community college where they can get a skill. No, we've given them opportunities, millions of them, and they just turn away and say, man, I'd rather be a burglar and sit home, hang with my boys and smoke dope all day. Is that okay with you, Colin? But these people, they're living in this world of denial, deceit, and delusion so strongly. It's like, oh yeah, the only thing we got to do to that fella is just kind of adjust our mixture of free stuff, just so we get it just right. So he'll go back to school, learn how to be a car mechanic, and when he learns, he'll show up at work every day at 8 o'clock. And he'll go to lunch every day at 12. Come back at 1, right on the dot. When he's at lunch, he won't go out and snort a line of methamphetamine or smoke some joints or drink some beers with the boys. No, he'll come back and he'll be ready to work when he comes back. Or he'll start his own business, a lawn mowing business, a home repair business, an alarm installation business. And while the woman's daughter was sitting there showing off her virtue display, kind of at her mother's expense, right? We don't know what the mother thinks about this, the 79-year-old mother. But the daughter's going, yes, I want to forgive that little child. I just want to wrap him in the bosom of Abraham and rock his soul. Does that work? Does that work? Does it work? If I ask a question 3 times around here, I'm pretty sure the damn answer already, right? No, it doesn't work. And I don't care if this kid's a burglar today or he's at a bar next week and somebody pulls a gun out, or he pulls a gun out and shoots 6 people. Just as if he were in Evansville, Illinois. And so these are the truths that you and I are looking at right now. These are the truths that, for whatever reason, lots and lots of other people who should be looking at it and seeing the same thing turn away. And when they turn away, the first thing they say is, boy, Colin, I can't see a thing. Well, you're not looking over here where it's happening. Yes, I am, Colin. And then you look over to them. They're like looking at the clouds. I don't see a thing, Colin. No, it's over here. Nope, can't see a thing. Bye. Oh, by the way, I'm going to complain about you to YouTube. That's the world we're living in. Hey, I never promised you a rose garden, did I? I beg your pardon. But if you look at it the right way, it's kind of interesting. We are at the tip of the spear. We are the people in the Fahrenheit 451 community. There aren't that many of us, but we're growing and we're on the right side of history. To borrow a phrase that up until 1 minute ago I found kind of repugnant. And so now we watch TV and there's just a flood. On television, there's just a flood of Democratic candidates, every single one of them playing the auction game when it comes to identity politics. Every single one is down with the cause. And every time you see them talking about women this, black people this, how we need to do this for women and black people and whatever other group, the flip side is always, always, always white racism. That's our challenge. Are you up for it? I am. I want you to be too. I know you are. That's why I'm so grateful for all the support from people who are supporting me, and that's why I'm anticipating with even greater gratitude support from people who haven't taken personal responsibility for this show and dropped a few coins in the old PayPal cup. I'm grateful that that will happen. So I'm just grateful that all of us will have the tools to spread this word. The word's getting out. We are making a difference. You are making a difference. Thank you for that, even if that does make the black kids angry. I'll talk to you next time.